Yeah, Duane, the first question is that of Jean Bosco, and his question hinges on this discrepancy between the real side experiences and the daily life. And he says, Mariam just added some flesh there. She says, some of the new friends in Kinshasa, Bandundu, and other cities, they've been having very rich experiences with the guides, and where their lives are detailed. They see things, live experiences on the real side, but these experiences don't manifest in their physical lives. So they want to know what is the cause of this, and it's an ongoing situation with most of them. This gulf between the real side and the physical life. What is the cause of this, and how can it be ameliorated? How can they bring, to put it literally, call it heaven? How can they bring heaven to earth?
Well, again, Charles, I get it because, see, of how we've been babysat, how everybody's been babysat with just, again, the corporation and the world. You see basically religion, how people just go attend somewhere and, want things done. But a lot of people, they have jobs, they work, etc. And so it's the same idea. The boys, the guides brought people up a certain way. And then at a certain point, just like when you grow up, your parents raise you, and then eventually you have to go out and get a job, and you have to do it yourself. So this is the new nowness, and that is that you have to step up and you have to do it yourself. You have to decide something. So it's, yes, there is a gulf there, but what you have with those real side experiences is that you are gaining the awareness of what to do. You see? It's not about having the experience, wanting the experience, and having the experience do it for you. Now you're in the next step, which is the big step, the whole of life, to where you decide what to do. This makes the difference, you see? And so for anything to become a reality here, the individual is provided the awareness so that they are capable to do it here. You see, now it's you doing it. Go ahead.
Well, next question, Duane, is that of Uncle Jeff, Tong Tong Jeff, who is not there, but the question has been read by Jean Bosco, and it centers on the concept of the ALLLISS, the is. This phenomenon, is it an abstract one, or it's something real, palpable, and how can the individual focus on the ALLLISS?
Is that it?
Yes.
Well, because we are what we are here, and this is what we basically relate to focus on the all is for what it truly is, it does take some adjustment to what we have already come to know. It's that simple. Of course, like anything. Like when you get a new job, you're hired and you have to make some adjustments accordingly. You've had your personal life, you've done things your own way, etc. But now you are to make adjustments to that. So we, again, look at all the people that are asking the questions. I would sometimes go over what they've come through, what their life has been up to this very moment. Ask them what, along those lines. Here's your discussions right here that you want, Charles. You're discussing these things, and it's good to have the references of what we've been through up until now. And yes, it is an adjustment for people to recognize, okay, this is the difference. You have your literal side where you hear the words and you read the words. And you hear and read them and have your own understanding according to whatever your experience is. So wherever you've come from, everybody's going to be a little different of how they interpret that, or they're just going to say, no, I don't want to hear this, or I don't want to read this. Okay, so again, it's choice. But to take the next step from that personal literal self and to really start to recognize and see this, yes, you have to make adjustments in your own understanding of things, and you have to kind of like experiment a little bit with yourself to figure this out. It's kind of like, and you know this, in a way it's like algebra. What is the unknown factor? X plus Y equals Z. So, okay, what does this mean? You see, just like that. So, the X plus Y equals Z is a hint. But it's up to you to figure out, okay, what does this mean and how does it relate? And I know it does take a lot. That's why I create all the things that I do. Everything I create is a reference to this reality. And all I can do is give the hints. You see, what Eckankar and the U.S. government and all the governments of the world and the church and the Queen and all these things, what they have created is what you would call umbrellas. Just like when you have an umbrella for the rain and you stand underneath it. Well, they've created these umbrellas for people to stand under, and it's like, oh, we're all safe now. Well, it's a fallacy. When you're dealing with the whole of life, when you've decided to see and recognize the whole of life, there are no umbrellas. The new presentation is not a safe haven umbrella. It's the whole of life. It's bigger than the sky. And so, yes, adjustments have to be made accordingly. Children can see it pretty fast. Adults, they really have a time with it because they're literally conditioned. And so all they have to relate to, that's like talking to your computer and asking your computer, okay, what do I do today? Well, again, that's a decision you can make, and the computer is going to give you whatever. But again, that's the literal side of yourself that you've accumulated all these experiences. Now, the real awareness, that's why I've defined it in that way, because, the soul idea, even in the corporation, it's like, oh, you are soul. Well, okay, that's great. Okay, we can be happy about that. And, yeah, that's a great thrill. But realistically, when you look at it, what does that mean? It really doesn't mean a whole lot, because it's all swayed back to basically what the corporation is doing and what the corporation is deciding. Again, when people are asking these questions, Charles, it's because they're still relating to the way that they've been brought up in a literal sense as followers, believers, and members. They have to learn to recognize how this is affecting them to where they must step up and decide their life, take on the adventure, take the risk. And just like Miriam, again, Miriam's a great example. She's demonstrating. It's demonstration. It's doing something. So yes, all these questions, about the is again, the best reference is the sun shining. But it's not about just the sun shining. It's about recognizing what the sun is demonstrating. That's the real side of it. What is in back of the sun shining, you might say? What is hidden that I can't see, that you can't see? What is it that is? So that's what you have to figure out. You see? Yeah, that's the reality life is. So yes, getting people to refer to this is huge. This is why Paul did not start off with the isness, because the so-called membership and the foundation of what he did would not have been like it is. That's why there's only a few of us here. For the most part, most people don't understand what that is. I get it. That's okay. It takes a while to really see that. But this is what life is, you see? We have not created a thing here or a phenomena. No, we haven't created anything. What I'm doing is referring to what life already is. Learn to see what life already is as opposed to what you think it is. That becomes the difference, and that's up to each individual to recognize that. It's more so than the thinking thing. So as long as they're still in that thinking stage, no, that's not it. And again, life demonstrates itself. It's in some way demonstrated in itself because it is survival. All right, it all breaks down to survival in some particular way. So all I can do is explain around it. You cannot give a definite with the is, because this is something that each person has to see for themselves. And again, the boys are the best example, the real guides. They are demonstrating it, but you have to learn to take the time to understand and recognize what is it that they are really demonstrating. Again, the biggest challenge you have, and all of us have here, and I'm fine with it, Charles, is, because of all the conditioning in the world, people go from one conditioning to another, is what they do. And it's like, oh, here's the new conditioning over here. Let's go over here. It's like a new soap it's like a new detergent for your clothes. It's like, oh, this one's better than the last one. Of course, when you look on the label, you see it's the same company making the same stuff. It's all from the same company. All life is one. This is where it's real, and that is it's all from the same source. But now the opportunity is here where it's more defined than ever to recognize. It's that recognition. It's that recognition that's very important, and seeing what it is. Yes, it's learning to see how this thing really is. Yeah, more than what the world can consider. Everything on the world that's been considered has nothing to do with the is, but yet at the same time it does. But you got to figure it out. You got to figure out how creation is this reference to this reality. And eventually the bridge, that gulf, does connect from the real side to here, because it's about your real awareness. It's not just about the things in the physical sense. So again, when people are looking at their real side experiences, yeah, they're expecting to wake up and all of a sudden, hey, they have a new TV set in their bedroom. They open their eyes. It's like, oh, I saw the TV on the real side. Of course, that meant something else, but it's like, okay, they're expecting they're basically expecting, oh, I wake up, there should be a new TV in my bedroom. Well, maybe someone will deliver it. These things do happen from time to time. When Kelsey and Val moved down here, it was interesting. I knew that she needed an office chair. Well, all of a sudden, the very afternoon that they came here, yes, someone had left one, out there by the trash, and it was in pretty good shape. I fixed it up. It was a nice office chair, So I would say that yes, these things do happen, but it's not going to always happen that way. We really have to make the effort. But time to time they do. But again, the all is, that is something else. That is a recognition to where in the past, and even the present with the corporation as an example, or the world, they have defined God for people. And through that definition, they have restricted people to that definition and have gotten people to restrict their lives and bow down to the fallacy of that restriction. With the all is, there's no such thing. Yes, it's more indifferent than the air we breathe. So, but it's awesome when you recognize it It is that recognition, Charles. So all we can do is hint at it. And again, yeah, most people won't figure it out because they won't take the time. They expect it to be done for them. And the real side experiences are actually demonstrating aspects and giving hints about this a step at a time. And this is where people pay attention. And this is where I suggest that, after a person has been in a group for a while, 6 months to a year, they should be out there creating their own groups, because this is where they're going to eventually learn to recognize the isness. Yes, and know what to do in their physical life and all their lives with all their 5 bodies. So it is the stepping up and creating the activity, not just sitting around and wondering what to do. Again, Miriam is the perfect example. Within several months, Miriam had a whole bunch of people together. That's why the boys picked her. Again, she's been the best example. And look at some of the people in her group. How long have they been there? So the all is again, the hints are there. Each person has to decide that for themselves, how they're going to figure it out, or they're not.